so that he can read out himself what occurred in the bilat, and also you all were able to ask questions. Sometimes it is not perfect, we understand that, but we want you to know we do everything that we can to make sure that you all have access. We did that with the bilat by having a pool spray at the top, and other meetings as well. So we do our best. We want to make sure, again, that you guys hear from the president directly. You get to see what is occurring in some of these meetings that are happening, and we will continue to make sure that we make that a priority as we continue to do our travels.
Okay. Thanks, Karine. Does the president, now that he's back from Saudi Arabia, does the president still believe that Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince should be considered a pariah, or did this trip change his view about that?
So as you heard from the president again on Friday, he made very clear that that he made his views very clear to the Crown Prince on that during that bilat meeting, and he even said it would be inconsistent, right, for a president of the United States not to speak of our values, not to talk about human rights, and it would be inconsistent, to be quite frank, of Joe Biden not to do that. So he was very clear about where he stood about Jamal Khashoggi's death, murder. He mentioned it from the start of their meeting, and when it comes to his comments stand. He has been pretty clear about that, about where he stands on the comments that he made during the campaign. And look, I think one of the other things I do want to be very clear about is, if we're going to talk about human rights, if we're going to talk about our values, he believes it's important to have that straightforward leader-to-leader conversation. The president has talked about that many times, about how important it is to talk directly and frankly with leaders when it comes to our values, when it comes to issues like human rights, and he will continue to have those conversations.
And yet the Saudis say that conversation about Khashoggi never happened. The foreign minister says he was there and he didn't hear the president confront MBS in that way. So are they lying about that? And if so, does that indicate that actually they are not getting the message?
So I'll say this: the president was asked this question, and he spoke to it directly. And I do believe that if anyone telling you differently about what the president said, they weren't listening to the president himself when he was asked that question, when he spoke about how he brought up the death of Jamal Khashoggi. So I'll leave it to what the president said when he was asked directly most recently about that.
Thanks, Karine. On the Uvalde school shooting, was the president briefed on the findings by the Texas state legislators investigating the law enforcement response to the report that was just released?
So he's aware of the report. I will say this: it is devastating. The report, it adds and frankly unacceptable. The report that came out I believe just yesterday. It adds on more questions to how law enforcement's reacted, their role on that day, on that tragic day. As you all know, we've mentioned this before, and you heard from the Department of Justice. They are doing their own review, and so I will leave their own independent review of exactly what happened that day, and so I will leave that to them on any further comments.
And what was the president's reaction when he was made aware?
So I wasn't there when he was made aware, but I do know that he is aware of the report.
And on oil and gas prices, Jared Bernstein came out to highlight these prices being down, but many industry analysts think that this could be just a temporary reprieve, that these prices could very well be going up again, maybe even in the fall. Oil was trading above $100 today. How concerned is the administration that oil and gas prices could be on the upswing again in the short term? So,
look, the president is going to continue to do everything that he can to make sure that the American public continues to get that little bit of relief. Look, what we're seeing here today, what we're seeing in the last 34 days, in that 50 cents, now we're seeing 50 cents on average per gallon that has come down. We see in 30 states across the country, we see we see gas at $3.99. Like Jared said, we're not doing a victory lap, but this is important. This is important to note that the work that we have done, the work that we will continue to do, is going to give relief, $25 a month to American families. We're talking about nurses, we're talking about teachers, we're talking about firefighters. This is going to have a real impact on their lives. And so, look, you know, what we're looking at is what we're seeing currently, what we're seeing at this moment, and I think it's important to lift that up. And again, the 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum, a historic action by the president, the 240 million barrels that the president was able to get leaders to do, the ethanol 15, which is the homegrown biofuels, which helped lower gas prices across in gas stations across the country. All of these actions are important. Now, do we need to do more as we talk about inflation, as we talk about the elevated number that we're seeing in inflation? Yes, that's why the president's going to continue to work with Congress to make sure that we're lowering costs for the American families, like prescription drugs, for example. And if we are able to do that, we are on the cusp, as Jared was saying, to really winning against one of the wealthiest special interest groups, which is Big Pharma. All of these things are important.
I don't know why
to
that
note. And again, we're
that's
just gonna
done to
continue
her
doing
voice,
the
but
work,
I'm leaving
but
it.
also we want to highlight what has occurred these past 34 days. Go ahead, Joe.
Catherine, what is the White House's strategy now for engaging with Senator Manchin going forward?
So, as we like to say here, we're not going to negotiate in public. You know, the president and Senator Manchin have a very close relationship. We will continue to have the conversations that we have been having with him for the past 18 months on a different variety of issues. But again, not going to negotiate in public. But we do want to lift up. You know, what's about to happen, what we're on the cusp of doing with the reconciliation bill is going to impact tens of millions of Americans' lives, and that matters as we're looking at healthcare. When it comes to climate change, you saw the president's statement just recently. If Senate doesn't act on that and doesn't take action on climate, he has a contingency plan, which is using his executive authority to make sure that we take on climate change in a way that's going to be effective. I don't have anything to read out to you on that particular action, but again, we're not going to negotiate from here, and we're going to just continue to make sure that we deliver for the American public.
Do you feel like Senator Manchin led the White House on with regard to climate?
Again, I'm not going to negotiate in public here. I'm not going to lean in or give any pull back the curtain on private conversations. We are prepared to act if need be, if Senate is not able to include the climate provisions that we have discussed. But again, what we're seeing right now with the reconciliation as it relates to Medicare and being able for Medicare to negotiate bringing down drug prices, that is an important step. So we're going to continue to do the work.
When you say, and the president says he's prepared to act on climate, what's the time frame for that? Do you wait until the fall? Do you get started before that? What's the overall time frame?
We don't have a timeline for you at this point. As you know, discussions, negotiations are currently happening, and so we will see where the Senate lands.
You spoke before the trip about advising the president about reducing contact due to COVID and the variants. And we saw some fist bumping, but we also saw some embraces and some handshakes and so forth. So just for record-keeping purposes, has the president had a negative test since he returned home?
So that's a good question. I would have to check with our team. As you know, he gets regularly tested as you know, as the advice from his doctor. So he has a regular cadence that his doctor decides on. We did provide on the gaggle last week. I provided that he had tested negative on his right before heading out to the Middle East, and then we sent out a pool note as I believe as we were going to Saudi Arabia because there were testing requirements and he had tested negative then. I will work to get that information for you.
Since we don't see him in public today. And the First Lady of Ukraine is coming and has a schedule for a visit with Dr. Biden. Do you expect the president will drop in on that?
So I don't have any more details to share with you. I know she's meeting with Secretary Blinken today. She's meeting, this is the First Lady of Ukraine, is also going to be meeting with Administrator Power once we have more information on our side on what the schedule looks like this week. And if that includes her, we will certainly share that.
Thank you.
I'll come to you after.
Just following up on something the Vice President said today, does the President agree with her that the recent Supreme Court decision on abortion access is similar to slavery?
I have not seen her comments. I would like to see her comments for myself
Her comment
before.
was, we know at NAACP that our country has a history of claiming ownership over human bodies. And today, extremist so-called leaders are criminalizing doctors and punishing women from making healthcare decisions for themselves.
Well, she is correct. Today's decisions are criminalizing doctors and essentially taking the rights away from women, taking the freedom away from women, really taking away people's privacy. That does matter, and that
She's
is
invoking
important.
slavery, so the President agrees.
For me, I appreciate you reading out what she said. I need to actually see exactly what was said and in what complete context. That's what I need to do as a spokesperson for the administration. But I will say that second part of what you just said, the Vice President is actually right. I just at the top, I just laid out what women are going through in this country because of an extreme decision that SCOTUS made. Because of what they did, it is going to upend and change the lives of women across the country. And we now have to be mindful about contraception. We have to be mindful about marriage equality because they have made it really clear. Extreme Republicans, ultra MAGA Republicans have made it clear that that is what they're going after next. So
Okay,
that does matter.
And then following up about this comment that the Saudis say did not happen, but the President says did happen. Did you personally hear the President raise the issue of Khashoggi's murder with MBS?
I trust the president. He made those comments as you heard directly from him during the press conference, and he said at the top of the meeting he mentioned Jamal Khashoggi, and
Or
so
you did not hear him say that?
I'm just saying to you that the president himself, I was not in the meeting to answer that question, but the president himself said and laid out very clearly, and just to be clear, that press conference happened because he wanted to make sure that you all heard from him directly. That was the president's decision. He wanted to make sure that he read out what occurred in the bilateral meeting with the Saudi Arabia government.
But so ultimately, we get back from this trip. There's no new peace talks in the Middle East. There's no new commitment to increase oil production in the Gulf. So what was the point of this trip?
I just read out earlier, Peter, of all of the things that had occurred, some of the do outs or some of the things that we were able to get done during this trip. Look, let's step back for a second and talk about what the president was trying to do on this trip. If you look at this region, the Middle East, it's a critical region. The president, his intent was to make sure that there was not a vacuum in the region so that you didn't have China and Russia stepping in, trying to fill that vacuum. And so it's important for the United States to make sure that we're having those conversations, direct leader to leader conversations, and that we talk about our national security, we talk about food security, we talk about climate change. All are issues that are important to the American family.
But
and so as it relates to the oil production, I talked about, and Jared talked about what OPEC Plus did early in June. We are confident that we will be able to measure how the success of those conversations that the president had in the next several weeks.
Why not insist on a commitment, though? He gets back with no commitment, and the price of oil per barrel shot up. Is that what the president wanted, to go there and have the price of oil get more expensive?
But again, we have seen gas prices go down in the past 34 straight days.
Aren't they still
go down.
$2 a gallon higher than when you guys took office, though?
First of all, we have to look at the impact of how we got there, right? You think about the war that Russia has taken on in Ukraine, an unmitigated war, and a war that is brutal and that has had an effect on the price gases going up, almost $2. We have talked about that endlessly. And also, we are also in a once-in-a-generation pandemic. So there are outside factors that has led to gas prices going up, to food prices going up, to inflation going up. So that is really important. What we have seen in the last 34 days is that gas prices have gone down on average by 50 cents a gallon. That matters. That matters to teachers, that matters to firefighters, that matters to nurses, that matters to everyday people. And the president is going to continue to do the work to make sure the prices go down. I'm going to continue, Peter. Thank you. Well, actually, let me try and go to people I haven't called on. Go ahead, Jenny.
Thanks. Jared was just talking about the broader reconciliation bill, which would have increased taxes on the wealthy, and he said this is not something that he views as inflationary. You know, you guys have talked about how this would reduce the deficit. So with Senator Manchin saying his exact, concern with doing a bill like this is inflation, does the White House regard that claim as credible?
So I'll say this. We have heard from economic experts out there. We have heard from even Jason Furman, folks who are critical of us, who have said said the opposite, that the president's plan on reconciliation will actually bring down inflation, an anti-inflation bill, if you will. And if you look at when you bring down the deficit, as you all know, that actually will help inflation. So look, I'll lead you to the expert. I am not an economic expert, but they have said themselves this is an anti-inflation bill, and it will help with that fight and what we're trying to do, which is our number one economic priority, the president's number one economic priority, which is bring inflation down.
You don't really see Senator Manchin's claim that inflation is why he pumped the brakes on it as a credible claim.
I am not a spokesperson for Senator Joe Manchin. As you know, I am a spokesperson for the President of the United States. And what I can tell you is what experts have said, economic experts have said, and so that's where I will send you.
And one more on the CHIPS bill, which seems like actually it's moving forward this week. So, congrats. There's a provision that seems to be a little bit fluid on whether or not to prohibit certain investments if you take semiconductor subsidies in China. Intel is one of the companies that is lobbying against this. What's the White House stance on this, and do you have a message for Intel and companies like that?
So I'll say this: the CHIPS Act is intended to bolster American competitiveness and our own domestic supply chain security. That's why we continue to support strong guardrails, as you're alluding to there, Jenny, which also have bipartisan support in Congress to make sure CHIPS incentives generate more semiconductor investment here in the U.S., not in China. So, and guardrails help slow the growth of investment in China. That is why such an important part of the bill. It is such an important part of the bill, and we believe in strong guardrails. Go ahead, Ken. I said I would get back to you.
Yeah, Karina, on Ukraine, President Zelensky replaced his head of domestic intelligence and the prosecutor general. He said during the weekend that hundreds of treason investigations have been opened into employees of law enforcement agencies. Is there any concern that Russia may be infiltrating Ukraine's security networks and undermining the war effort?
So I'll say this, we, per usual, don't speak to any personnel arrangements or domestic politics. That is not something that I will do from here. But I'll say this: for our part, we will continue to work with our partners in Ukraine to help them defend against Russian aggression, and with the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office as they document the war crimes and atrocities that Russian forces in Ukraine are committing. We also continue to support Ukraine's ongoing anti-corruption reforms as well.
And Senator Cruz over the weekend said on his podcast that the Supreme Court was clearly wrong and overreaching when it legalized same-sex marriage in 2015. What is the White House view on that? Does that raise a lot of concerns?
So it should raise concerns. As we know from the Dobbs decision, one of the things that we saw from Judge Thompson is that they're looking to go further, whether it's privacy, contraception, or marriage equality. Now, you all know that this president has supported marriage equality for some time. This is something that he believes in, and this is something that he will continue to fight for. Trying to call folks I haven't called on. Go ahead.
Thanks, Green. Did the president urge Saudi Arabia to stop purchasing oil from Russia? Because Saudi Arabia has actually doubled its Russian oil imports this quarter, which is, of course, helping Russia's cash flow.
So I don't have anything to read out for you on that. As you know, at the G7, one of the conversations that came up when the president was there recently in Europe, in Germany specifically, was how to put a cap on Russia oil. That is a conversation that was started. It is continuing on the staff level, and that, as you know, will have an effect on the price of Russia's oil. And so we'll continue to have those discussions.
Thanks. And you spoke earlier about the president's contingency plan regarding taking executive actions on climate. But do you believe the president can still keep the commitments he made to world leaders on reducing emissions through executive actions if Congress fails to act?
So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we are taking action on the climate crisis. And so, again, the president has, I think Jared read this already, but just want to reiterate what he said. From day one, the president finalized regulations to rapidly phase out super pollutants. He jump-started the offshore and industry, and he set the strongest ever emission standard for cars and trucks. So this is something that is incredibly important to the president. He thinks it is urgent to act on the climate crisis, to take action, and that's why if Congress, Senate doesn't act on the climate component of reconciliation, he's ready to take use his executive authority. All right, let me see who I haven't called on. Go ahead.
He was doing so well. Welcome to the show. Oops, that's the wrong one. I'm going to try something different with the chat up there. I know it's really small and you're not going to be able to see it if you're watching on a cell phone, but if you're on a computer, you'll be able to see just how many people are in the chat and all that stuff. Anyway, welcome to the brand new, the first ever show, the Rational American Podcast. That's what I'm renaming my show to, because I think Wake Up America is, it doesn't do the justice that I need. You know, because here's the thing. I am so completely, utterly tired of the bullshit that we are forced to talk about every single day. So I'm taking a new approach to it where I am just going to kind of relax. Today, we're going to go through our mass shooting report. It's going to be just like all the other ones that we've previously done. But then I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's going to be about whatever I want to talk about. You know, it's just something a little bit different. Yeah, we're going to figure it out. But first, this show is sponsored by Spartan Armor Systems. If you're unfamiliar with who they are, well, this is their website. Look at that high-tech shit right there. Anyway, Spartan Armor Systems is a Tucson, Arizona-based body armor manufacturer. They make body armor, tactical plate carriers. They have med kits. They have targets. They have pouches. They have everything. You can visit them, SpartanArmorSystems.com. Use code YEET, and you get 5% off your order. It's an amazing deal. Go check them out. Anyway, yeah, this... Where do I even begin? I've been trying to do so much stuff all day, getting orders out, doing this, creating the new Rational American box that we're going to be sending out. I'll talk about it later. And man, the media's like really focused, hyper focused on these mass shootings, but only select mass shootings. We talk about mass shootings every single week. You guys know that from watching this. Watching the show, all the people who have been watching for a long time, we talk about these mass shootings all the time. And mainstream media is focusing on this one that, you know, the mass shooting of the week, the one they're focusing on, was this mass shooting that took place in where was it? Indiana, right? Yeah, where was it? Greenwood Park. Greenwood Park Mall in Greenwood, Indiana. There was a mass shooting yesterday where a gunman hid out in a bathroom for a while. And there's some new stuff that came out about that in a press conference about an hour or two ago that we'll cover. But how many people heard that during that mass shooting, there was another mass shooting and the police could not, the paramedics could not respond to that mass shooting because they were responding to the mass shooting at the mall. They made the determining factor of let's go to the mall and save people instead of let's go to a park. And people died there. You know, it's weird. Someone said, does body armor have an expiration date like racing seatbelts? Yes, I believe so. Where they have the manufactured date on it. So I can only assume they do. But yeah, so like I said, there was a mass shooting yesterday in the Greenwood Park Mall. Apparently some 20-year-old kid from Greenwood, legal gun owner, he wasn't barred from owning a gun, had I forgot what, I think they said it was a 6-hour or something like that. He had a long gun. He came out of the bathroom, shot a guy in the head, killed him, and then he proceeded to fire approximately 23 other rounds into a food court in this mall. He was stopped by a good guy with a gun, a 22-year-old that was legally carrying a pistol. He had a concealed carry permit for it, and he offloaded, I believe they said 10 clips or 10 rounds at this suspect, hitting him 4 times of those 10 shots. And here's the thing. Some of the stories, some of what this guy did was amazing. Like this 22-year-old kid who was just out shopping with his girlfriend. While he was shooting, he was engaging the suspect while moving towards him and assisting other people to leave. Now, keep in mind, many of you guys he has no previous law enforcement background, no military background, but just intuition, an instinct. He's engaging him as he's walking while, guiding other people to be safe. And everyone says good guys with a gun never happens. Well, it does. And it happens quite often. When there's a big mass shooting, I think it was in Uvalde or the other one that was up in Buffalo. I forgot which mass shooting it was, but there was another mass shooting attempt where a guy had a long gun and he was shooting at a party goer. Granted, he couldn't shoot. And a female with a gun that was legally carrying a gun ended up shooting at that man and killing him as well. But in total, there were 22 mass shootings in the previous 7 days, leaving 15 people dead and over 70 wounded. But we're not hearing about all the mass shootings. We never do, right? Because it doesn't fit the same, it's not at a mall. It may be at a park. And that's where a lot of, surprisingly, a lot of the mass shootings that we're going to talk about here on the show today, they all happen at parks. They all happen at parks. Someone said people are bashing this guy for saving lives. I don't think anyone is bashing. I don't think anyone is bashing this. I haven't heard it. But granted, I've been trying to be relatively disconnected from what people are saying online because I've realized that is, so I saw someone in the chat made a comment saying rational, saying calling the show Rational American Podcast or making a Rational American Box is divisive because it says that people that disagree with you are irrational. No, it doesn't. In all reality, it doesn't. The only thing it signifies is that we love this country and we're calling ourselves Americans because we're not afraid to call ourselves Americans. Others are, afraid to call themselves Americans. I'm not ashamed of this country. I just don't like what's going on between the right and the left anymore. And frankly, I don't want to align myself with the right or the left. I don't want a show that's like Wake Up America when you're trying to wake up a portion of America that doesn't even want to wake up anymore. Like that was the whole idea about the Wake Up America podcast. Is I was doing it in an effort to try to wake people up that are kind of living under their rocks, that aren't paying attention to what's going on in this country. Those people are content under their rocks. It doesn't matter if fuel prices are through the roof or gun crime is going off or or there's other crime or what. It doesn't matter. Because you have this mentality in America where if it doesn't affect me, I don't have to care about it anymore. And that's kind of the idea behind the Rational American podcast is because it's just me. It's talking about whatever the fuck I want to talk about, whether it's movies, sports, powerlifting, politics. It's whatever I want to talk about. And if people don't like it, I don't care. I don't align with the right anymore. Look at what's going on in Washington. How can anyone align with the right? How can anyone, you certainly can't align with the left, but seriously, think about some of the fringe shit that's come out. Let's just say in the past 6 weeks, it's frustrating to me. It's frustrating. So I started thinking about it more and more and more. And I was like, I've been saying the Rational American, saying I don't identify as a Republican anymore. I'm still a conservative, but I identify as a Rational American, someone that could think rationally, right? It's a novel concept. I say that all the time too. I should make a shirt that says it's a novel concept. The Rational American Podcast. Ooh, that should be the slogan. Because that's what it is. The reason why we do the mass shooting reports every week is because no one else does. No one else talks about all these mass shootings. Hell, you can't even find out specifics. We have a mass shooting in Chicago this week that we're going to talk about where the news didn't even report it. 4 people were shot. Chicago, they're like, fuck it. Who cares? It's Chicago. Even Chicago local journalists and local news outlets did not cover the fact that 4 people were shot in their town. Nobody cares. It's not on mainstream media. Sure, you hear about a mall shooting and everyone freaks out about social media, but now it's commonplace. As soon as a mass shooter, as long as the mass shooter is this is what I'd be curious to look at. All right. And maybe April can dig into this. Are the mass shooters that have been arrested, like, for example, I don't remember which one. There was a mass shooter in Jackson, Mississippi this week. That has been charged with shooting 4 people or 5 people or something like that. We'll get to the story in a minute. His name, his photo, and everything is out. He surrendered to police. Did Facebook scrub his profiles? Did YouTube delete his channels? Did SoundCloud delete it? You know what I mean? Because it seems like they only pick and choose which ones they want to delete, which is very, very frustrating. But anyway, before I get too pissed off, let me go through this stuff. For anyone. So this is and I'm going to show it on the screen so you guys can see. You're not going to be able to read shit. It's too small. But you can see the articles. This one is out of fox59.com. 3 people are dead and 2 more injured. This is the mall shooting that we talked about in Greenwood Park Mall. The shooting suspect, who police believe acted alone, was killed soon after by an armed citizen at the mall. The Greenwood Police Department confirmed Sunday that a lone shooter, believed to be an adult male, he was identified. I'm not saying his name because fuck him. And I turned off the press conference before. They said the Good Samaritan's name, but apparently they released his name too, which is weird. They asked his permission to release his name, which he said okay with. But I thought that was weird. You know what I mean? Because you don't release names of victims. He's a victim. He had to take someone's life in order to save the lives of others. He is a victim. He's not law enforcement. He's not military. He is a victim that was forced to kill someone in order to save himself. I don't know why they would even ask to release his name. You know, to me, it's perplexing that they did that, because you know the amount of hate, the sheer amount of hate that this person is. Shit, he'll probably be a target. He'll probably be a target by the left, this good guy with a gun that stopped this mass shooting. And every single person knows this. Every single person knows this just as well as I do. This guy, they're going to dig into him. They're probably going to look up everything about him and try to find something, you know, to criticize his. And I don't know why they do it. Someone said he wasn't a victim. He was an effing hero. He's still a victim. He had to shoot someone. Yes, it was a heroic action and all that stuff, Christy. But I think you understand what I'm saying. You know, if you have to take a life, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life. It doesn't go away. You know, it doesn't go away at all. And I don't know why they would release his name. Anyway, this suspect, this 20-year-old kid, I don't know if they've nuked his Facebook yet. I can only assume they did. I saw one Facebook that was claiming to be his Facebook. A couple of people emailed it to me, and it wasn't his Facebook. It's somebody else. This is what a lot of people do, is they change their name to a mass shooter right after on social media. It's very odd. It's very odd. But this guy, apparently, he attempted to blow up his apartment. He had a propane tank in the oven. The oven was on with a laptop inside. He was attempting to destroy that laptop. I'm very curious to see what's on that laptop. He took his phone and threw it in a urinal or a toilet inside the restroom outside of the cafeteria, the food court, where he started shooting all these people. And all three people were dead. All people, I believe in their, mid-30s or older, were victims of this scumbag. Both guns were legally acquired. I believe he bought one March this year and one of March last year. He had no adult record. He had a juvenile record. So this is what this kind of goes with their gun thing, right? Even though his juvenile record, from what I understand, it had to do with fights at school and running away from his house. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's what his juvenile record, but the police chief said something about that. But all these people, they already want the juvenile records to carry over. And you could make the argument, well, the left is going to make the argument that this mass shooting would have been thwarted by, restricting a young person's ability to go out and purchase a gun. They've already done. I'm sure they already are doing it. I'm just not watching mainstream media, so I have no idea. But it's very weird. But anyway, that's the first mass shooting. And like I said, yesterday there was also a mass shooting very close by. In Beech Grove, Indiana, one person was killed and several others were injured in a shooting at a park in Beech Grove Sunday night. Beech Grove's police do have an idea who and what they're looking for. Beech Grove Deputy Police Chief Tom Hurl said, "We do know that the current suspect vehicle is a white Toyota Camry. It may have had a window shot out of it. The only thing we know about the suspects is that there may be 2 or 3 African-American males," according to the police chief. Police say the shooting happened during a vigil at Don Chalice Park for someone who recently died. There was an argument that appeared to be between 2 females, then it was separated. Somehow that erupted into this massive barrage of weapons being fired over there, said the police chief. He said they're trying to figure out the victims, or how the victims and other people at the vigil were connected to Beech Grove. There's nothing that points them to Beech Grove. Now, this is the one I was talking about, where apparently Beech Grove EMS responded to the mall for the active shooting, because this was, a neighboring community. And so when this mass shooting was called out, they didn't have any EMS to respond to Beech Grove. And I don't know what ended up happening. I don't know how anybody was transported, but apparently the Beech Grove mayor today said that Beech Grove EMS had responded to the mall because of the mall shooting there. And then when this mass shooting report came out, they had no availability to actually transport any of these patients, which is insane. It's insane. And that's not the only mass shooting. I mean, we have 20 plus mass shootings to go through. In Detroit, they don't even really write about it. This is on Facebook. a quadruple shooting, very little info. Apparently 4 males were privately transported to the hospital after being shot. These are all yesterday. There's like 7 or 8 mass shootings. We only hear about certain ones, right? You're not going to hear this on mainstream media. 4 teenagers are injured in Newark, New Jersey during a mass shooting. You're not going to hear about that. They're not going to tell you that. It happened. Officials say 2 14-year-olds were grazed and in stable condition. A 15 and a 17-year-old were also injured. Details on their injuries are not provided, but the 15-year-old reportedly is in critical condition while the 17-year-old is stable. These are 4 children. You would think that this would make national news, right? 4 children, age 14 to 17, shot in Newark, New Jersey. Why isn't mainstream media reporting on it? I'll tell you why. It's because of the likelihood of these children being minorities is very good. Mainstream media doesn't care. Where the hell is Black Lives Matter? I say that all the time. They march through the streets chanting Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Black lives are literally being killed every single day in America, and we don't have any protests for these people. We don't have vigils. We don't have anything. No, but if police shoot, someone that's shooting at them, we'll have riots and protests and chaos going on. But for teenagers that are shot in Newark, New Jersey, one is in critical condition, and the 17-year-old unstable, there's nothing. They don't care. Isn't it weird? It is. I know. It's very odd. Hold on. I got too many. I was watching the press conference earlier, and that's not it. There's more. But wait, there's more mass shootings. A shooting believed to be between 2 groups of young men Sunday night in the Mount Vernon Walmart. This was at a Walmart, which is crazy too. Again, no big national news. This was at a shopping center. 5 people were injured in this mass shooting, including 2 innocent people. A 72-year-old customer and a 24-year-old Walmart employee were shot. 3 other 19-year-olds that were allegedly involved in the confrontation were also shot. But they have no suspects in custody, outside of the people that they know were involved. And I don't believe they've arrested anybody. According to a news release, it says, with the information available now, we believe the events that led up to this crime were between the 2 groups involved. There's no indication that there was a situation where individuals entered the store intending an active threat event, which doesn't make any sense. They're still shooting in a fucking mall. They're still shooting in a Walmart. It's almost like, oh, well, they were just shooting at each other, so it's acceptable. I'll never understand why some of this stuff is acceptable. I really won't. And by the mainstream media not covering it, that means it's acceptable. 5 people were shot at a block party at the intersection of Leo Court and Nobles Court in the Castlewood subdivision of the Milledgeville. I can't even say that. This is Georgia. At approximately 2:34 a.m. on Sunday, officers responded to the area in reference to multiple reports of shots fired at the location. As officers arrived on scene, a crowd was fleeing the area. Officers located several vehicles and houses that had been struck by gunfire. Officers were also notified by Navicent Health Baldwin Hospital officials that multiple victims with gunshot wounds had arrived at the hospital. They were transported by their own personal vehicles. According to a press release issued, according to a press release issued on social media early Sunday, there were 5 gunshot victims, 4 women and a man. All victims are listed in stable condition, according to the press release at the time it was posted. That's just another one that nobody talks about. Here's a house party. 2 people are killed, 2 people injured in serious condition. Vancouver, this is Vancouver, Washington. Police say a house in the Harney Heights neighborhood had more than 50 people attending when gunfire reportedly broke out. Officers responded to the call around 1:20 a.m. On Sunday. When they arrived, they say they found 3 people shot, one of whom was already dead. The others were taken to the hospital where one of them died. A 4th person was hit and went to the shooting by car. 2 people who survived the night are still in serious condition, said the Vancouver Police Department in a statement yesterday morning. None of the victims have been identified and no arrests were reported. According to the Vancouver Police Department, witnesses gave them a limited amount of information on possible suspects. A spokesperson with the department told local Coin 6 News that the investigators do not believe the shooting was random. A neighbor who heard the shooting spoke with local news, but asked to be identified or not be identified on camera, saying she just moved from Portland to Vancouver to get out of the way of the gunfire because there were gunshots outside of bedroom or a window every day in North Portland. And today there are gunshots at her new place in Vancouver. Freaking insane. It's insane. And we're not done. 4 people were injured when multiple shots were fired outside a bar in Grand Rapids, Hartside early Sunday morning. These are all yesterday. How many of you guys heard about any of these other mass shootings? We all heard about one mass shooting, 3 people dead, 2 people injured. We all heard about that mass shooting at the mall. We didn't hear about any of these mass shootings. Why? What? Ask yourself why. Ask your local media why. Ask your national media why. Why don't they pay attention to all these mass shootings across America? It's disgusting, to be completely honest. But the Grand Rapids Police Department said 3 of the victims were men and 1 was a woman. 3 of the men one of the 3 men are in serious condition. The 3 others who are also hurt are considered to have non-life-threatening injuries. According to police, the shooting happened just after 1:30 a.m. near the intersection of Oak Street Southwest and Cesar Chavez Avenue. An Uber driver told local news that his car was caught in the crossfire. Can't even talk. He said he was in shock at first, and all of a sudden he started hearing bullets flying, and he was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. He was not hurt, but his car was slightly damaged by bullet wounds, which you can see right there on the screen. Yeah, and it's, the Great Woods Lounge put out a statement saying, whatever, I don't care. They put out a statement. This shit's disgusting. The more I say it, it makes me mad. The more I read it, the more I think about it, it just makes me mad. Brooklyn, New York, a gunman opened fire yesterday night, wounding 4 people, including a 16-year-old boy who was shot in the head. The victims and suspected shooter were fighting with one another in Brownsville around 8:10 yesterday afternoon. The group of 4 had followed the shooter to Livonia and Rockaway Aves when he pulled out a gun and opened fire, spraying bullets at the group. The 16-year-old shot in the head was taken to the hospital in critical condition. One of the men was shot in the stomach and the other grazed in the leg. Both were taken to Brookdale Hospital and are expected to recover. A 4th victim suffered a graze wound to his back but refused medical attention. A green scooter was left abandoned on the sidewalk near the scene. Police are still searching for the gunman. It's weird that they don't release any suspect information, right? Like, the suspect is identified as, or suspect, had this last appearance. They don't do that anymore in the media either, which is very odd. It's very odd. Anyway, another mass shooting. 1 person was killed. At least 2 others were injured in a shooting outside a community center being used as a cooling facility in Columbus, Ohio. Officials say that officers were called to the Glenwood Community Center around 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and then violence broke out. Witnesses say shots were fired during an argument in a parking lot near the facility's pool. Columbus Assistant Police Chief LaShonda Potts said on Wednesday, tragically, when arguments turn to violence, violence turns to using weapons, and this is what you have. 2 victims were found in the parking lot, and a 3rd was located following a trail of blood. The victims were taken to Grant Medical Center and the Ohio State University, where their conditions remain unknown at the time of this writing. They have been identified as 1 male and 2 females, according to police. One of the women was the person killed. Their ages range from teens to young adults. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. The community center is being used as a cooling center as many of the city are without power due to an ongoing heat wave. On Wednesday, the forecast hit 97 degrees, breaking a record from 1897. And that's just another one. And I thought it was weird that an international news outlet was one to have to respond or report on that. There were 2 shootings in D.C. this week. Well, there were actually a lot of shootings, but 2 were on this mass shooting report. Around 9 p.m., officers responded to a report of a shooting in the 200 block of Adams Street Northeast. This is our nation's capital, mind you. They found 3 conscious men suffering from gunshot wounds. They were all transported to the hospital, where one of the men was later pronounced dead. Police identified the deceased victim as 29-year-old Jaquan Bragg. A 4th man was also located at a local hospital. He and 2 other men are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. And then there was another shooting where a solo person was found dead. They have not released his information or his thing. And then yesterday there was a shooting, or actually this was Saturday night. It was on my local news this morning because new video has been released. An off-duty DC police officer fatally shot a person who was pointing a gun at the waterfront nightlife area. So the videotape was played on our local news this morning, showing the guy with the gun when, good guys with a gun, police officers actually fired back before this guy was able to kill anybody and took him out. I think every person in America should have a gun. Anybody that's legally able to own, not even should have a gun, should be required to have gun training. That's my personal belief. And then you make a determination that you don't like guns, fine, whatever. But this is just crazy. And these are only the mass shootings. These are only the mass shootings. You know how many other, can you imagine if I had to report on every single shooting in America? These are just the mass shootings. In Charleston, South Carolina, the North Charleston Police Department is investigating an early morning shooting that left 4 people injured in a parking lot of a nightclub on Saturday. This is last Saturday. North Charleston police officer, this Saturday, it's just out of order. North Charleston police officers were called to La Creme Lounge in Dorchester Road shortly after 2 a.m. for reports of a shooting, according to the police spokesperson, Harvey Jacobs. Upon arrival, they found 3 victims suffering from gunshot wounds in the parking lot. A 4th victim later showed up at the hospital. No arrests have been made. No motive is known for the shooting, according to that article. In Houston, Texas, 4 people are dead after authorities say an argument turned into a shootout at the North Harris County apartment complex. It happened in Cypress Ridge Apartments in Bamawood Drive around 11:30 p.m. 3 teens were among the 4 shot, apparently. That's a new update to the story. Anyway, for gun see, I don't even know what this is. It said Gladys Martinez was inside her apartment at 5 with her 5-year-old daughter when she heard multiple gunshots and called 911. As a trained medical assistant, dispatchers instructed her to help one of the victims lying on the ground motionless. Apparently she did. And when she turned him over, I think he was already dead because his eyes were already rolled. He was cold to the touch and he was heavy already, said Martinez. She said, I feared for my life at that moment because I didn't know if the shooter was still outside shooting more people. At that moment, I was scared. I still am. I'm nervous. Man, can you imagine? What a brave woman to go out there and render medical aid while you got a kid and all that stuff. Unbelievable. Here's another mass shooting, Monroe, Louisiana. Monroe Police Department is investigating a shooting that happened on July 16th in the 2200 block of Adams Street after a crowd gathered for a memorial. Officials said the argument between a few parties in attendance at the memorial, then 2 suspects displaying handguns began firing multiple rounds. 5 people were shot, 3 of whom sustained non-life-threatening injuries. 2 more were in stable condition. Jalen Washington, 19, and his brother Jeremy Washington have been identified as the suspects, officials say. Both suspects are wanted on 5 counts of attempted second-degree murder as well as weapons charges. They're looking for this guy. This is Jalen Washington, and this is his brother Jeremy. You're not going to see this on national news. They don't care. They don't care. In Philadelphia, there was also a mass shooting in Juanita Park section. It sent 4 men to the hospital on Saturday night. Shooting happened on the 1300 block of East Lutheran Street around 4 p.m. A 39-year-old man was shot multiple times through his body. The man was transported to the hospital by private vehicle where he was placed in critical but stable condition. He will be transported to a different hospital for treatment later. Police say a 37-year-old man was shot once in the right foot and an 18-year-old man was hit in the right bicep. Both of those men went to another hospital by private vehicle and were placed in stable condition. They'll be treated and transported. At least 27 shell casings were found at the scene from 2 caliber weapons, according to the police. They say the shooting was captured on nearby surveillance video. They say 2 men got out of a Chevy Tahoe and opened fire on the group of men. The 21-year-old male was shot multiple times, at least 8 or 9 times, several times to the legs, once to the arm, and 3 times to the chest and back. Now, all of the men are expected to recover, even the guy that was shot 8 or 9 times, which is amazing. Here's Chicago. They don't even respond on mass shootings anymore. 2 people were shot. Well, so 4 people were shot. Victim 31. I'm not going through all this shit, but 4 people were shot in Chicago. Apparently, the victims were hanging out of a residence when a white-colored SUV drove by and an occupant exited the vehicle and fired shots, striking the victims. No offenders in custody, and detectives are investigating. It's just crazy, dude. It's crazy. Also in Philadelphia, 4 teenagers are in critical condition after more than 20 shots were fired in their direction near a North Philadelphia home early Thursday morning. Investigators say the shooting happened just before 2 a.m. at North 7th and Wallace Streets. The police found the victims in the courtyard. They're described as a 13-year-old boy, a 14-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl, a 15-year-old boy, and a 16-year-old girl. Investigators say the 2 girls were shot in the face and one of them was seriously wounded. The boys were shot in their arms and legs, according to police. Though this incident occurred past the 10 p.m. citywide curfew for children under 18, authorities say the teens were standing outside one of the units where 2 of them lived. They were just a few feet from the front door of the courtyard, right in front of the house where 2 of the victims lived. The other 2, we believe, were just visiting. They were friends when someone fired at least 21 shots in the direction of these teenagers, striking all 4, said Philadelphia Police Chief Inspector Scott Small. Police said they found a revolver at the scene, but aren't sure whether or not it was used. The 4 teens remain hospitalized. They're expected to survive. I mean, how many kids is that are shot in this mass shooting report? Over a dozen children. Over a dozen children. In Indianapolis, an investigation is underway after 1 person was killed in a shooting on the north side early Wednesday. 3 other people were injured as a result of that shooting. Spokesperson said officers were sent to the 3600 block of Merrick Way near the 38th Street and Kessler Boulevard and North Drive just before 1:30 a.m. Officers found a male teenager in an apartment hallway who had apparently been shot. He was pronounced deceased at the scene. Police later learned that 3 males, 2 18-year-olds, and a 19-year-old had arrived at local hospitals with gunshot wounds. Their condition ranged from critical but stable to good. Detectives believe all the victims were identified or were connected to the incident in Merrick Way. Insane, dude. We're almost done. 4 victims are shot in North Minneapolis. They're all expected to be okay, though. Isn't it weird that they put that right in the title? Like, it's so insane. Police say 4 people were shot after a fight erupted in gunfire Wednesday night outside a North Minneapolis gas station. Officers responded to reports of shots fired around 7:13 p.m. near the intersection of Lowry and Knox Avenues. Minneapolis Police Department spokesperson Officer Garrett Parton said the call was updated to a shooting and police arrived at the Full Stop gas station, found shell casings, a gun, and blood outside. A man in his early 20s who had been shot at the scene called 911 from a block away, and an ambulance picked them up and took them to the hospital. 3 others, a woman in her 50s and 2 more men in their 20s, showed up at North Memorial Hospital in private vehicles. None of the victims suffered suffered serious injuries. It's unclear how many shooters are involved. They have no suspects. No motive is known for the shooting either, of course. Boston police are also investigating after 4 men were shot in Roxbury on Tuesday night. Officers responded to the reports of the shooting near 39 Warren Street around 11:16 p.m., according to police. 3 men were transported by Boston EMS to a local hospital for treatment of injuries that were non-life-threatening. A 4th man who also had injuries that were not life-threatening went to the local hospital on his own. Police said as of Wednesday morning, no arrests have been made into the investigation, and the shooting is ongoing. There's no information. Then this is our last one. The family of a shooting suspect said he turned himself in on Tuesday evening for shooting into a vehicle, injuring 4 people, including a toddler. This scumbag. Donald Sherrod, 18, will be charged with 4 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of shooting into an occupied dwelling. The incident happened Monday evening on Fairway Street. 2 adults and 1 17-year-old were shot, and a 2-year-old victim was grazed inside their vehicle. Apparently, the incident stemmed from a dispute over a female acquaintance between the 17-year-old and between the 17-year-old victim and the shooter, according to these people. This is fucking insane. This is insane. Isn't it insane? Like, how many people live anywhere near this and didn't hear about any of these mass shootings? Like, seriously. It's insane. You know? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Anyway, we'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit about something. I need a drink.
Finding the right CBD product for you can be tough. Just CBD has you covered. We offer the highest quality, most consistent CBD gummies on the market with soothing 100% organic CBD in every mouth-watering gummy. All of our products are lab certified and made in the United States using organically grown hemp. Each of our gummies gives you between 8 and 25 milligrams of soothing CBD. Enjoy all the benefits of CBD in our amazing line of gummies with Just CBD.
All right, welcome. I'm hearing my own. Press the wrong one. Yeah, I got to turn down my audio when I do stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. This shit's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna always do the mass shooting reports, but I'm gonna get really annoyed when I do them because nobody cares. You know, we do. That's why I report it. But I also know I'm reporting on these out of spite because nobody cares. That's the most frustrating thing for me, is that I know I'm reporting them out of spite because nobody else is gonna report on them. You know, it's just frustrating. Someone said, I see it all the BS in Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's every day. It's in the burbs as well. Yeah. You know, Jody said, thankfully, we don't have any of those shootings around here. Yeah, you do. Because these shootings happen all over the place. You know, we've had shootings. Our old neighborhood in Florida has had like 7 murders already this year. And it was a decent neighborhood. The violence and the chaos is spreading out. And as more people are seemingly, I don't know, what do you call it? Just lazy human beings? As more people are encouraged not to be, good people, this is what happens. Unless people allow them, unless people start carrying their own weapons and protecting themselves, it's crazy. Speaking of crazy, the new reports out of Uvalde, I don't understand how any of those officers could potentially be on the job right now. I don't. And a lot of people, I've received a lot of criticism for talking about it. I couldn't even bring myself to watch more than like 10 seconds of the body camera footage. When those police go in and they hear the gunshots and they start running away, and the one guy's like, "Was I shot? Was I shot? Was I shot?" And they're like, "What's going on?" And the guy says, the officer says, they're shooting in the classroom. He's shooting in the classroom, and they still didn't go in for over an hour. And who is in classrooms? Children. You know that. So all these cowardly officers that stood out there, like, they don't deserve to be police officers at all. And I know a lot of people disagree, but I don't care. Those people were cowards. I can't understand it. I can't understand. Hell, like, it frustrates me. I can't even watch the video. I can't even watch the whole, I want to be like, I heard, hand sanitizer. They're putting on hand sanitizer. They were doing this. I only made it through 10 seconds of the video and heard the one officer who apparently he was one of the ones that was grazed in the head or something like that, where he's freaking out whether or not he was bleeding or not. They all ran away from this gunman that was killing kids and continued to fire. And they knew he was in there. They knew he was in a classroom. They knew he was killing kids, and they did nothing. They did nothing. And so I can't understand it. I can't, it's not even the entire police force, because it's also Texas Department of Public Safety, the Uvalde Police Department, the school police department. It's everybody. Even the lieutenant. Like, here's the crazy thing. The lieutenant who took over for the chief, who was placed on administrative leave, the lieutenant has now been placed on administrative leave for being a little bitch. Excuse my language, but I don't know any other way to say it. And I know it's easy for me to, armchair quarterback this. I don't care. I could tell you with 100% certainty that I won't say that. I won't say it. But people are lucky. The American civilization as a whole is lucky that didn't happen in my kid's school. Because there would be nothing because who do you get revenge on? Police officers? Like, what do you do? Like that's the thing that's the most frustrating thing. When you find out all this happened, yeah, you're supposed to be mad at the person that harmed your family, but then you hear about all this stuff that's been happening with the police department. You hear about how the police literally failed. And it's not even that you're hearing about it, you're watching it. They're releasing the body camera footage and all this stuff showing the officers standing around as this gunman is killing kids. And I just can't understand it. I just can't understand it for the life of me. And I'm a firm believer in an eye for an eye, right? And that's the thing that it's really fucking with me a little bit, And because it's just crazy. It's just crazy. You know? Someone said, who was supposed to respond to the ACAB to defund the police? Yeah, but this didn't have the defunding the police argument is, if anything, this plays into it because they always argued, you know, with the ACAB, all cops are B words and all that stuff that everyone chanted and marched through the streets saying the reason they did that was because they said the police don't do their job anyway. And in this case, this could be used as an argument for that because these police officers did not do their job. Not a single one in Uvalde did their job for the first hour and a half or hour and however long it was, hour and 10 minutes, until they finally decided to do their job. They stood there and listening to kids get murdered. And I know there's probably not a single one of those officers that's ever going to be able to think straight for the rest of their life. And I understand. And it sucks. And I can armchair quarterback everything the whole time. But I, for the life of me, can't understand how someone, like how you can exist. Knowing that your inaction led to the death of not one, not two, not 10, but over a dozen children, I don't know how you could just exist every single day. I really don't. And I don't know how anybody that lost children that day, you know what I'm saying. It's crazy. Someone said they did it as a barricaded instead of an active shooter. Yeah, I'm well aware of what they did. But it's not a barricaded situation when the man is executing children and you hear it. You hear it on the videos. You hear that this kid is still shooting children. So at that point, it's not a barricaded suspect. So anyone who says that doesn't understand the protocols that are in place in Texas that have been widely reported. That's why it's such a big deal. That's why it was even brought up in the White House press conference today, because it's such a big deal that these officers, and it wasn't just one department. It was five different departments had officers there that didn't do shit. You know, and that's the thing that I find the most frustrating out of everything. You know, I've had offers of people that are in law enforcement that wanted to come on the show and maybe provide some sort of perspective as to what that's going on. And I won't have them on the show because there's no justification for inaction in that. When you got parents saying, listen, give me your body armor and guns, we'll go in ourselves, then you know that you're doing something wrong. You know that you're doing something wrong. And it's frustrating, you know? Someone said, Steve, has Ariando been relieved of duty? Yeah, he's been relieved for several weeks. And then the lieutenant, who was the acting interim chief or whatever, he's apparently been placed on administrative leave as well. That's one thing I just read. And that last part may not be true, but because I haven't confirmed it. But someone said classroom doors only locked from the outside, which is not legal. The doors weren't locked. Nobody even checked it. We already heard that during the press conferences. Nobody even checked the damn doors. As this kid's killing everybody, nobody had thought about checking it. Even when they breached, they didn't even think about checking the door. They just breached, which is the craziest thing. This guy was executing children inside this building. You know, and it's frustrating to me because you guys know I'm about as pro-police can be. But I tell you, it gets hard sometimes. It gets hard. I can't, like, how do you support like any of those people? Do you know what I mean? How do you support any of those officers that did not do their job? It would be like supporting a garbage man who just decides that he doesn't want to pick up your garbage every day. At some point, you're not going to do it. You're not going to pay for it, right? It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. But this is the path. This is where America's going. You know, I saw one comment, I forgot who it was by, but someone on the right said that, you know, they were like, I'm very, much on the right, but I'm petrified of where this country is going to go. This is someone on the right that was saying it because he was saying that the country is going to shift so far right that even people that align with the right are going to be pissed. That they're going to be there, it's making people nervous. And I don't disagree. Because here's the thing, you got groups on the left and right that are arguing about stupid shit. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. Stupid shit. You guys want to see the front of the store? I put a store cam up. Check this out. Bam. That's it. I haven't finished all the shelves yet, but bam, that's the front of the store. Isn't that nice? So now I can do the store cam. Bah, So if I ever have a package or something, or I happen to be live and someone walks in, I'll just be like, hey, you're live, just so you know. You know, it's pretty cool. But man, I'm frustrated. In general, I had this whole big plan, to do all these intros and different segments and mass shooting reports and all this stuff. But I was so focused on trying to do everything else today that I didn't have time to do it. And I'll be honest, I'm on like a new diet. I started working out again today. Can you tell? I'm like swole already. But I started eating salads, like protein salads, but I don't like salad. And I'm starving. Literally, I had the world's biggest salad. My wife made it in like this massive bowl today. I grilled up the steak yesterday, and I'm starving right now. I'm literally hungry. I'm drinking water to fill my stomach because there's I don't know if there's any nutritional value to salad, but it doesn't do anything for my stomach. I'm starving right now. But yeah, man, it's someone said I'm prepared for Antifa. Yeah, so if I have those counter protesters now, I could just, or the people that come in and do it, I could just switch the camera over real quick, and then people could see it right in the front. It's pretty dope. I like it. Someone said first guy went to breach, got shot, and then ran away. It took over an hour to get someone there that actually had the balls to breach the door. Plain and simple, the hallways were flooded with officers. I know, I saw it. I know, I watched it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to. Someone said you're eating the rabbit food. Yeah, I know. How many of you guys checked out this new box that we're putting out? And I don't know if you guys actually read it. We a lot of people bought it, but I'm putting the link in the chat right now. So this one, oh shit, what happened? Oh, is this it? This is it. I was doing it in the wrong one. The link is in the chat. So this box is special for a variety of reasons. One, it's going to have a lot of stuff that's rational. It's themed as a Rational American podcast because I just like it. I just think it's a really good name for this. I think it encompasses everybody because here's the thing. If you think rationally, like you understand that America's fucking falling apart right now, it doesn't matter whether you're on the right or left. You are an American and you're thinking rationally, hence Rational American. If you think America's just going fine and there's nothing to be afraid of and we're all going to, nobody's going to be affected by, inflation and all that stuff, then you are irrational. You should probably not watch the show. You know what I mean? But with this new box, this is different because my wife, for anyone that doesn't know, my wife she's very artistic. She's always had that artistic ability. She's recently taken up wood burning, and it's nothing like, you can't really see it, but you can kind of see by the chat box right there, that's wood burned in there, our logo for the Pure Truth Coffee Company on that countertop. Shout out to Brad, the Mad Lad, for doing that. It's pretty dope. I'll do a whole walk around when these are all fully set up. I still haven't been able to get them all done because I'm just busy. But my wife has taken to doing wood burning by hand because she's very skilled. She sold paintings for like tens of thousands of dollars and shit like that. I always just say, why don't you just do that? Like quit being a teacher and just paint, and I'll sell it, and then we'll be rich forever. And she won't do it. But she's gonna make patriotic designs on this piece of like tree. I don't know what you call it. It's like imagine a tree that's cut. Right? And then like aged or whatever. I don't know any of that shit. Anyway, she's going to do one. It's going to have yeet. It's going to be extremely patriotic. And we are going to include that in one of the boxes. So you're going to have like my wife, you're going to have like something, if she's ever really famous from painting and all that stuff, she'll like everything she does right on the back, she'll inscribe her name. So you can see it. But that'll be in one of the boxes. In addition, we're also giving out another free TV. This time I'm going all out. It's going to be a gold envelope in it. So if you open your box and you have a gold envelope, you want a 55-inch TV. And the instructions on how to redeem it will be right inside that envelope. I think we've given away like 7 or 8 TVs. We've only had one person that never claimed the TV, and I don't know who it is because I just throw them in the box. This time I'm going to pay attention. So when I'm making the boxes, I'm going to pay attention to the name, because if you don't want the TV, let us know and we'll donate the TV to someone else, or somewhere else, a nonprofit or, a kids charity or something. But yeah, these boxes are different because they're going to have a shit ton of stuff in them. They're going to have 3 brand new t-shirts. They're going to have a camo hoodie with the Pure Truth Coffee logo on it because I want more hoodies. So I decided that I'm going to make one. And it's going to be like a light camo, like not too crazy camo. But it's going to look dope with the Pure Truth Coffee logo on the front. 3, like I said, 3 t-shirts. They're all unisex t-shirts with all new designs that you'll only be able to get through this box. We're going to have a bunch of stickers, patches, custom drinkware that we're putting in there, probably veteran-owned product. These boxes are going to be the heaviest boxes we've ever sent. Our estimated weight right now is around 15 pounds, including 2 pounds of coffee. For anyone that doesn't know, that's actually quite a bit of shit inside the box. So I'm very excited about this. So make sure you get your order in. These are going to ship. We have a hard date of August 5th. So all of these boxes are going to ship on August 5th. So make sure you go into puretruthcoffee.com, click on the link that's in the description, or it's not in the description because I'm fucking lazy and didn't put it in there. But you can do it right there. And do it. What is this? I've been live for 1 hour, 14 minutes. Cool story. Yeah, it's been something else. I can't believe it's only 5. Like, I'm over this. I'm over. Because I didn't have, like, I wanted to do segments and all this stuff, but then I was listening. I was doing a bunch of stuff around here, and I rebuilt the whole thing. All right, so let's just do some housekeeping stuff for right now. Here's some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing soon, all right? And within the next couple of weeks. A lot of people have asked about the live streaming software, what we use, the cameras, how I set it up with vMix and all that stuff. So I'm actually going to be making a whole like sub channel. Or I don't know whether I should just make it like a category on the main YouTube page. It's not going to be on Citizen Stringer News page, but on the main YouTube page where I walk through like, you know, because I'm a regular person. So I'm not like some tech whiz, so anything I do takes me like an hour and a half. Like to get the chat up on the screen, you know how long that fucking took me? It took me so long. Like so long. Because you guys know from last week, I had it on there and it didn't work. And I spent like an hour trying to get it that day. Today, I spent about another hour and finally got it. So it works pretty good. But yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of different things. So I'm going to do like, the whole setup of the vMix software. So in case you ever want to do your own stuff, I'll do a video with a review of all the shit that all the cameras and all the stuff that we use, both here and in the field and all that. And yeah, and then, I'm not going to do like powerlifting training videos, but I am going to do a segment probably every week where I go to the gym and I'm just deadlifting or, working out and where I'm talking about what I'm thinking, and it's more than often political. It's more than often, especially if I'm deadlifting, I'm thinking about like Joe Biden and what a horrible person he is. And it gets me really worked up. So I have this funny idea for like, something goofy. I'm also going to do that when I walk around in the woods with my wife, cause we're trying to do more shit together. So we're going to go like hiking cause she likes that shit and I hate it. But one way that will be funny is I'll just record it. And I'll ad lib over it. So I'm pretty excited about that. And about some of the different segments that I want to do because some of these things are good. I was going to do a reaction thing to the Tom McDonald song because so many people said I should. But I don't know what it is. And I almost just want to listen to it instead. And so I can enjoy it. I think it's called Names or something like that. Nah, I'm going to look it up. I'm not going to do a reaction to it, but I'm just going to watch it later. But apparently it was good. Apparently it was a really good one. Someone said, talk to your wife in the woods, not us. Yeah, I'm going to. See, you missed the point. It won't be live. So I'm just going to be recording the walk. You're not going to have the audio or anything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ad lib later in the studio over that video. I'm like, oh, look, a fucking plant. Like, you know what I mean? Like funny shit. What I actually think about when I'm going for a walk, when I'm not listening to my wife. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I got plans. What else? Oh, the Sleepy Joe decaffeinated coffee is coming earlier. Actually, today's the 18th. So I think I just got the notice that they shipped it. So I'll probably get it this week. And so the decaffeinated and the new brand or the new blend donut shop will likely ship by the end of the week as well. All of the rest of the missing Patriot boxes, the old ones from Politically Incorrect, the ones with the Scooter Steve mugs and sticker packs that I packed up this past week and they went out. The book customers, your books came out as well, or went out as well. Slowly but surely getting caught up on some of this stuff, even though it's a real pain in the, whatever. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, go to the store, puretruthcoffee.com, and buy this Rational American box. 1, because it's going to be the best box we've ever done. 2, you may win some art from my wife. 3, we need the money. We need your support. We don't ask for like donations and shit like everybody else. This is our way of doing it. It's something different, man. Something different. Sage News. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do a show with you. I got your email. I don't know. Just keep sending me messages, man. It's right now I'm busy. Oh, and I pushed back the opening of this store till September 1st because I don't want to open it half-assed. I want to open it right. So I talked with my wife. I talked with Brad. I talked with some other people, and I decided it's not September 1st, September 3rd, which I believe is a Saturday. And we're going to have like a come on and hang out with Steve, soft opening, maybe for some eaters and stuff prior to opening. But that'll be good. And then we'll be here in the morning doing it. So I'm pretty excited about it. I also decided I am building this half wall I talked about last week. It does. If you weren't here, it doesn't matter. And yeah, what else? I guess I'll just look at the chat for a second and see what you guys are saying. I hate these Discord messages. I keep shutting them down and it doesn't go. Captain Dirt said, what's the website? It's puretruthcoffee.com. Puretruthcoffee.com. It's incredible. You see it right there on your chat. It's amazing. I hate Discord. Like, I don't even know. I keep turning off the notifications and it doesn't even matter. They just keep. I don't even know what happened. The whole thing just ended. My whole stream, the whole vMix just shut right down. That's the first time that's ever happened. And I think it's because I was recording this show too. Isn't that weird? It wasn't like I lost internet this time. No, vMix completely shut down. So whatever. Now my chat box is too big. Whatever. I can minimize it. Right there. That's where it should be. Unbelievable. Someone said, yeah, because as soon as it ended, I reopened the software and it worked okay. But someone said, I went into my boss's office this weekend. He had your book on his desk. A great book, brother. Yeah. Thank you. Well, that's great. I think a lot of people bought that book. I think we're over 200 copies were sold of that book, which is pretty cool. Except with the Amazon KDP shit, I can't even find out what my royalties are on it. It's probably nothing, but whatever. It was awesome. I'm glad you guys all did it. Someone said Microsoft is having Office today. Did we ever finish the wood floors? What do you think? Look at that. Look at those beautiful floors. It's still a work in progress, as you can see right there. Still a work in progress, but yeah, the wood floors are done. This big thing that you see there with the wood thing, that's actually the backing to a corner table that I can't fit through the front door. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to take off the door, which is quite a bit more complicated than I thought. because it's not like a regular house door. You can't just hit the pins out and the door comes off. So, or I just may take the top off of it, and then I measured it today. It'll fit that way. So I may do that. But yeah, it's going to be great. Someone said you're tired today. I'm tired today. I'm tired today as well. I'm always tired, but I'm exceptionally tired today. All right, so fuck it. I'm gonna wrap this shit for the day, and then tomorrow I gotta make an intro. I started making it. It's gonna be dope, but it's not done, so I didn't play it today. I do have the countdown thing. I want to make that better. But yeah, I'm gonna do a lot. That's going to. This show is gonna be much better going forward. The wood floors at the house. Yeah, those are done. I didn't finish those myself. We ended up hiring someone because we did the one room and then I just gave up. I couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, go buy one of the all new Mega Rational American boxes. Like I said, you may be the lucky one that gets a piece of my wife's art. Or you may win a TV, or if not, you're just supporting us and what we do here. And we need your support. So please go and do that. Buy some coffee. I shipped out most of the coffee. I'm currently out of Awake Not Woke and Wake Up America blend, unless you want whole bean for Wake Up America blend. But I should have more coffee of that by Friday as well. And I'll get out those orders too. But anyway, I appreciate someone said those screws do undo the top or square head. A bit is in the plastic tube. Yeah, I know. I have the bit. So I just got to do it. I forgot my drill. I was going to do it today at lunch, and then I was like, oh, fucking salad. So I didn't do it. And I went to the gym instead right after. And today was the first day back at the gym in, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? It felt exceptional. It felt really good. So I was happy about it. And I had a really good arm pump for a long time. Not that any of you guys care if you don't work out, but it's good. It's good. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. There's no hearings tomorrow that I saw that I think are worth covering. There may be one on the 20th, which I believe has to do with assault weapons or something. I don't remember, but I may do a hearing one of these days this week. But yeah, buy some coffee, puretruthcoffee.com. Get the new box. Search Mega in the search box. The link is in the description. Like I said, it's one of the best ways to support us. Plus, you get a shit ton of awesome stuff, including shirts. All of the shirts, the mugs now as well, they're all printed by me. No third-party shit. So when you get these mugs and shirts, if they're bad quality, you can directly yell at me because I print them all right there, right on the other side of this wall. Anyway,